right, ladies and gents, welcome to the 1% podcast. And I am really excited for this one because as much as she's into fitness, she's kind of not, which is good. So it's super just incredible to have Marsha Coles on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, my love. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm very well. It's an honor to be invited. So yeah, thank you for having me.
No, it's amazing because obviously I've known, followed you, worked with you in for, I don't know, years maybe. um, it's
Been
been a
through a lot of
while.
that, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's just great to come on and just chat shit, to be honest, which is great. If anyone doesn't know you, what do you do? So when you get into a cab and someone goes, "Hey, what do you do for work?"
Well, I currently help coaches to basically increase their visibility on Instagram and online. So my passion is to help fitness trainers, personal trainers, online coaches to grow their Instagram, improve their content, and also help them with launching their websites.
Cool, amazing. I think what we'll do, because obviously, if I don't really plan these podcasts, I ask people, "Do you want to come on?" and things like that, and they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And what's the topic? I'm like, there isn't one, but I think we'll go with that because obviously, a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers do listen to this podcast and things like that, or people that are kind of I think everyone nowadays wants to grow a social following or wants to grow an online business. And obviously, you can give insight into not just how to grow a fitness business, but how to grow a business online in general. So I think it'd be quite nice just to dabble into that.
Yeah.
But first, I guess what's kind of like your upbringing? Like what was kind of let's go back to like I don't know, like early
Yeah.
teens from there, where home, all this sort of stuff. Like, what was your kind of upbringing like?
Well, I'm originally from Russia, so I actually grew up learning English, but it was always like, just another subject at school. So the sort of interesting thing with me is that English is not my first language, but it's been really weird and crazy and cool. Sort of starting my life kind of like all over again from the age of 11, which is when I moved to England. And yeah, it's been a massive challenge because I went to school not really knowing English, but I've always been creative. So the one thing that I've always sort of connected with people with was my creativity. So I found it really easy to sort of make friends because everyone was like, "Oh, you're really good at drawing. Can you do this? Can you draw that?" So that's always been sort of like, my thing. I've always been creative. I've always loved drawing, painting. So I've always been quite lucky, sort of knowing what I kind of want to do in life. I've always known that I'm going to be like creative. So yeah, that's it really. I've always done design. I've always done like arts. I taught myself how to draw on the computer. I've always been into
Wow.
sort of computers ever since I've been like, near one.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like self-taught. I've always enjoyed like learning. I went to like school, college, and university. Always been into design. So yeah, still learning to this day. I'll never stop learning. But yeah, I've had a really interesting upbringing. I've always enjoyed the educational side of things. And yeah, I never want to stop. Like even to this day, I always feel really stagnant when I don't learn, when I'm sort of, only doing one thing and I'm not really giving myself time to like improve like an area of my life. If I don't read, if I don't learn, like I feel
Yeah.
really like stagnant. I don't know if you feel the same.
Oh no, 100%. I struggle to sit still for an afternoon. So it's exactly the same. And I guess when you moved here, where was it like your parents had jobs here, opportunities here? Where did you grow up in the UK to start off with?
So, funnily enough, I actually came to the UK and I lived in Nottingham for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Little, this was back in 1996 to 98. Little did I know that my husband now was actually from Nottingham. It was
Yeah.
probably a good thing that we didn't meet each other back then because he was a completely different man to what he is now. But that's where I was. Yeah. So, my I came here with my mum and my twin sister. My mum got remarried and we lived in Nottingham, and then we moved to London, which was incredible because, there were so many opportunities that came my way.
Mm.
And scary as it was going to another school. If anyone, has been to like a new school around the age when, obviously, when they were like teenagers, it's really sort of hard making new friends, learning, from different teachers. But I completely embraced it. Like, I guess now I can definitely look back and think of it as like a strength. Like, I'm glad that I was put into like those sorts of hard social environments, because I think now I definitely use it as a strength.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think that's something that it's funny. Like I don't know if it's just the older you get, or maybe the more self-awareness you get, but how much you actually learn from kind of those teenage years, those early years in your life. They really do. They either affect you or they build you, sort of thing, or they make you the woman or man who you are today. And I definitely think I almost think people that have had like the most uncomfortable upbringing, like moving around, moving countries, like going to different schools, all this sort of stuff. It's like it seems kind of normal at the time, but
Yeah.
actually you're so abnormal compared to like the normal family. But it makes you the businesswoman, whatever you are today, just being like you say, like that harsh kind of, I mean, it's kind of harsh upbringing, really, isn't it? It's like moving around, moving country. It's not stable in that sense.
Yeah, yeah. I actually think, yeah, the more you go through those uncomfortable situations when you're younger, the better you are as an adult, like later on in your adult life. So
Mm.
I'm grateful for all the uncomfortable situations and weird scenarios that I was in when I was little, because like now not that much sort of phases me. Like, I embrace it all. I was every I was even like, once I was mugged on a bus as a
Oh,
teenage girl coming
yeah,
back from shopping, and it was a dreadful experience. But like now, it's made me so streetwise. So
yeah,
I've definitely learned to be grateful for every, like sad and bad experience that I've been through, because it definitely, it gives you that edge.
it does, yeah. And it's like you said, like when you're self-taught almost, it's
Mm-hmm.
like everyone that's generally very good at what they do, like most of the time, like because you went to what did you do at university?
So I did graphic design at university. So, I always knew that I was going to do something graphicy, didn't think it would be anything relating to
Yeah,
like Instagram or having my own business. I was
yeah,
definitely really, really scared. Didn't really have a growth mindset back then. So I thought I'm just gonna have like, hopefully, a stable job working for an employer, and hopefully I'll, do something that my parents will be proud of. Like, I would have been so happy with that.
yeah. What's I guess like because obviously different cultures have kind of like if you talk to like Indian culture or whatever it is, they're very much like I want my kids to be doctors. Like, what's it like? Is it kind of the same for kind of Russia, Eastern Europe? I don't know. Is it or is it a bit more chilled?
It's definitely a lot more chilled. Yeah, my parents were always very supportive of me in whatever I will be doing. They only they both came from uh the acting backgrounds. And when I
Okay.
was little, I actually was like, "Oh, Dad, I really want to be an actress." And he was like, "Over my dead body."
Yeah.
That was literally the only sort of no. They were like, "I'm sure you could do something different," because they knew that everyone, well, they just had this perception that anyone who is an actor are basically crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe because they thought, yeah, we they were like, don't just follow my footsteps for the sake of it. Like, figure out what you want to do, for yourself.
Yeah.
So
But that's very good parenting.
yeah, I think so. They knew that myself and my sister, who's actually my twin sister, they knew that we were, clever girls, and they knew that, we could do something. So I grew up to be a designer, and my twin sister is who is identical, by the way.
Oh wow.
She's got nothing to do with design, but she's in tax, which is super handy for me and
Yeah,
everyone
100%.
else in my family. Yeah, she's a tax advisor, tax consultant for a big accountancy firm. So super handy to have in the
Yeah,
family.
God, yeah. Especially now, it's just like, where can we save money?
Yes, yes,
Amazing.
100%.
And
Yeah.
then kind of fast forwarding, I guess, what was coming out the back of uni and things like that, kind of the gap between, I guess, kind of university and now, really. Obviously, there's a big gap, there's a lot changed in life. But in a nutshell, what was kind of like your jobs? Did you go fully self-employed? And like, what was the in-between stages?
So the in-between stage was just one stage. I was basically a handbag designer, which was kind of
Oh,
like a
cool.
dream job
Yeah.
for for the time of my life, which was back then. I basically did my final major project, which was sort of like an exam at university with a brand, with like a fashion brand. And I basically carried on working for them after I graduated, which was like kind of like a dream. So I never had that issue of like trying to look for a job and doing the whole interview process. I literally just carried on working for them, which was a
Damn.
dream. It was a brand called Paul's Boutique.
Oh
You
yeah.
might have heard of it. It was very
Yeah.
like colorful and neon,
Yeah.
sort of like basically what I am.
Yeah, it's
Very
very much your personality. Yeah.
yeah. So that was, I think I was just really lucky. I sort of fell into the job, connected really well with the owners, and they gave me complete free reign to basically design ultimately what I wanted to wear. So
Wow.
over the course of 12 years, I was like the main head designer. I designed everything from small sort of like fashion pieces that used to be sold in Topshop to like handbags that became sort of like the meat of the business. And I did really well, but it was never really like my dream to sort of like, oh, I really want to be a handbag designer for the
Yeah.
rest of my life and have my own brand. I always had a passion for like the digital side of things. I always wanted to do more than just draw cool fancy handbags and source different materials and do all of those things as great as it was. So I've always on the side of my full-time job, I've always dabbled with like freelance projects and, doing graphics for people, doing some projects to do with like website design. I helped, quite a few like startup businesses. And it's always been like a side hustle. And it wasn't until I met my husband, Mark, that explained to me that he works with a lot of coaches and fitness professionals, and the one thing that they often struggle with is that they are not creative. And we would often have conversations where he would say, oh, I'm working with this person, they're really struggling in presenting their client results. Like, look at this graphic. Like, I'm
Mm.
not sure like what he would do to like improve it. What do you think? And I would be like, well, he could do this and then he can do that and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And like, I guess like the seed was sort of planted, the first time that we might have had that conversation. And over time that sort of snowballed, and somehow I started sort of on Instagram, and I started helping people for free. I think that's where a lot of people sort of start. They before they develop their passion into a business,
Mm.
and that's exactly what happened for me. I started to give out, some free creative advice, and people really appreciated that. And I was like, oh, it's really nice. Like, let me do more. I had more fuel. But the fuel was added to the fire when people started to give me feedback and thanking me for like helping them. And it wasn't until much later that I actually had the confidence to develop that into a business. It did take me a while to develop my confidence.
Mm.
I think confidence is like key to creating a successful business, and sometimes with some people it just takes a little bit longer than with others.
100%. I guess you've kind of answered all my questions. It was good, but so obviously going back to when you kind of met Mark, how long ago was that now? Because you've been married quite a while now as well, haven't you?
We've been married for 4 years and
Have
together
you?
6 years.
That's gone so
Yeah,
fast.
I know. It's because of lockdown. It's because of lockdown.
Yeah. So how did you guys meet?
Wow.
Or
You
is
mean
that you don't have to
no,
share?
it's not a secret at all. No, we're proud of it. We met on Tinder of all
Do
places.
you know how many people do that and actually
Yeah,
get like that's
yeah,
crazy. Well,
yeah. I have quite a few friends that are in relationships and they're happily married because of Tinder.
because you can get to be picky though. It's great. You're like, Definitely not. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, we've been lucky, but we both have had to definitely kiss a lot of frogs before we found each other. It definitely takes time, but you know, for all those people who are on Tinder, do not give up.
Yeah,
It can happen. It can happen. Just yeah,
it's
keep
it.
keep doing it. Keep dating.
Yeah, it's worth it. At the end of the day, like that's the thing, like kind of going back to what you said about childhood, like you got to go through bad relationships, you got to go through knowing
Um,
what do I want from an individual and what can they bring me? Vice versa. Like I think everyone who I know obviously knows of Mark, knows of you, and it's very clear that what you guys have what's nice is that you guys have built something together as a couple, but you're both very separate from what you do as well, which is amazing because you can see your brands growing together, but then you can see yourself as a couple growing together, which is amazing, which is you don't see it like generally often at all. So
yeah,
it's absolutely amazing.
thank you so much.
And I
Yeah, but
guess
it's
go on.
probability, like with anything, like with like trying to uh create a viral post, like it's probability. Just do it, keep doing it,
Yeah.
and then you know, after a while you'll have a good date after a bunch of bad dates, or after a while, after posting loads and loads of times, you'll have a one post that does really well. But it's probability. You need to keep doing it in order to see
Yeah.
that result.
That thing that people just don't like, consistency. Literally. And I guess kind of dabbling into number one, thank you for doing what you did because I was following you and getting all like your Canva ideas back probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I remember being in London
Thank
and
you.
following all your stuff. And I remember when I think you still do, but probably just like you were doing it a lot then, right? But you
Yeah,
used to, I don't know how you do it, but like you produce a Canva and you give it to people, but you can unlock it and tweak it yourself. And I
yeah.
remember like loads of people were doing that. And obviously that's how you've obviously built a
Yeah.
very successful brand by just giving and giving, which is great.
Yeah, giving out templates. I think, yeah, giving out
That's,
value, like number one key to sort of building that like and trust factor with your audience.
and I guess bringing it kind of into actually kind of growing a business, growing a brand and things like that. I guess let's kind of break it down like five things, really simple. I guess if you were to kind of, if you were a fitness professional, if you were in anything, if you wanted to, right, I'm going to, like, almost like you did, right, I'm going to have the confidence to build my own brand in whatever field it is, where would you start? What's kind of like that? What do you think the foundation is to kind of building that brand, that business?
I think it definitely starts from understanding like who your audience are and really determining their pain points and their like dream points. And even if it's like, you know, general population clients who have like loads of various different pain points and dream points, it's still important to determine those because they are specific, and then trying to figuring out, you know, how to create content to target those pain points and dream points, and then still reach out to people and have conversations and create content from those conversations, because that will be the easiest way to be sure that you are creating content that speaks to your audience. And it's all about building connections. So if you are trying to have some kind of presence on Instagram, you want to have an audience who are engaged, and the only way to do that is to, you know, involve them and talk about them in your content, not necessarily always talk about yourself. As important as it is to talk about your journey and showcase to your audience like what they can do, it's also really important to, you know, speak to their pain points and really try and help them for free, and give out as much value as you possibly can, whether it's, you know, with like graphics or video, or, you know, even one-liners and quotes, and, you know,
Yeah.
putting the value in the captions. It's just showing up. It's, you know, being fearless with like your content. And it's hard if you sort of starting from the very beginning, but it's really important to like not give up and not really care about those vanity metrics and caring about likes and saves.
Yeah.
But the only way to sort of get people into your world is and want and them and creating that, you know, making them want to work with you is to basically give out, as hard as it may be initially, to give out so much stuff that you might want to sort of keep, because you'll be thinking like, oh, I need to, they need to pay for this advice, they need to, give me money for what I'm about to share. But like, no, I think initially it's really important to give out as much free stuff as you possibly can, so that people will be like, oh my god, like I need to stick around and follow this person and subscribe to their channel and hit them with DMs, because no one else is giving out what they're giving out. I need to see, like, if this is what they're giving out for free, like what would it be like if I was actually a paying client? Like, they will be throwing money at you if you give them shitloads of value that they will be so grateful for. And it's important to remember that a lot of people, especially like now, they may not necessarily engage and like or comment on your posts, but they will watch and they will stick around.
That's so
they will
true.
stick around for a substantial amount of time. And then I think it's, they need to consume a certain amount of your contents. I think it's something like 40 hours, or I can't remember how many.
Do you know what? I think Mark said something. I think Mark said like 6 months or something like that, which is probably right. Like 40 hours of watching a post every something. Yeah, it's probably about right.
And then after that time, they will, they will inquire, they will engage, they will DM you, and that's where you would need to sort of get them into your funnel and have a consult call, etc. So it's really important, like, not to give up. And just keep on giving. Just make it a priority in your day-to-day life.
100%. I think that's definitely a thing that, it's going to sound really bad, but like, this is one thing I noticed from moving, that I noticed, like, I don't know if it's a UK thing, or if I don't know if it's a fitnessy thing or a click thing or whatever it is, or probably any industry you're in, but it's weird that people don't want to give away tips or help and things like that. But then I feel like going, you can Google anything and know way more. Like, I feel like I've got good knowledge on fitness, but I'm like, you can probably Google it and probably learn more than I've got as well. So it's like, it's not impossible to find it. And so it's actually been like, well, everything's so easy to get nowadays. So why should someone take your opinion compared to the internet's opinion almost? And it is, like you say, I think building that kind of brand and building that reputation it's just showing up, being relentless every day, proving that you can, especially I think do you know what? Doesn't matter if it's fitness or anything, but just showing up consistently, day after day, week after week, showing that you're relentless, showing that you care. And that's literally all it comes down to. Because, like we say, like, just tell people for free, because it's all out there. So you might as well just put your opinion on it.
It's true. But I think even if some of your audience are not fitness professional wanting to like grow their Instagram, I think this day and age, a lot of people just want to maybe grow their Instagram because because it's a thing, because people want to,
it's like a challenge.
It's a challenge, or they want to somehow like grow their personal brand, maybe for a different niche. It's just a good idea to keep showing up and teaching yourself how to sort of be there for your audience and build momentum, because it comes through practice. If you can show up for your audience consistently, it's a great skill for you to have, because at any point later on in your life, if you do want to monetize your Instagram in any way, you need to be consistent, like you said, and you need to sort of be there and be good and be okay to show your face on camera and keep showing up.
I think what's obviously interesting now with, I guess, you know what, I think COVID's changed so much about everything, right? It's fast forwarded how, like, again, like, we're having a podcast over Zoom. Like, was that a thing like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I don't even know nowadays. It's gone so, like, and it's opened up, I guess, the world to being like, wow, okay, this internet thing, like social media, is a very powerful thing. So people don't have to fly the other end of the world for a meeting now. We're like, why don't we just do Teams? Like, that makes all sense, right? And we save a lot of money on fuel, on flights and stuff. So I guess what's happened in a nice way, that I actually like it as well, because it was fucking in my head a lot, is that obviously Instagram and these platforms now and these social media platforms have changed dramatically over the last 6 months to a year, like dramatically. And we're seeing different content. It went from Instagram, went from photos to likes, then it went over to kind of saves and shares. And now you'll know more than this than me, so you can like fire away. And now obviously it's dabbled into more short form content, so like I guess under a minute. But
Yeah.
now reels have dropped off, so they're not as booming anymore. But what obviously I like from a mental health side of things is that now that actually doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter about the shares, the likes, and things like that. So I guess if someone is trying to grow their brand or grow whatever they're trying to do, kind of how's it's harder now, 100% harder. So I
Mm,
guess
very
what's
annoying.
kind of your thoughts behind it? Because I think video content is generally like I'm all for it. I prefer it than texting and typing and things like that. That's just what's your kind of, I guess, input to into it, and what are you seeing it from? I guess because you're trying to be, I guess, a little bit ahead of the game as well, because obviously your job is to social media, produce graphics and all this sort of stuff for it. So I guess what are you seeing from kind of your side of things? What's been good about this change, and where do you think, or guess how do we get reach nowadays with the world being so loud?
Mm-mm. Yeah, Instagram is changing all the time, every day. You know, that the algorithm of Instagram is a forever, evolving thing that a lot of people think, oh, there's been a switch all of a sudden, but it's always changing. And I think it's just, yes, it's going to continue changing. But currently, what is working for me and for, some of the people that I connect with, it's definitely video. You might have noticed it yourself. It's crazy how Instagram is trying to mimic TikTok, but it's not that they are trying to copy it. They're just trying to adjust to the
Yeah,
demands of the people on the platform, or of the audience who use, both TikTok and Instagram. And video is definitely something that people will have started to connect with more. That's why I started to create definitely more short-term video and reels. And I'm liking it because it's actually taking me less time to produce certain videos than,
yeah,
when I would create a carousel. A carousel might take me something like 4 hours sometimes, and a reel might take me between 10 minutes and half an hour, depending.
yeah,
So I'm definitely embracing the change. So for anyone who is not so comfortable on video or hasn't dabbled into creating video, I would definitely say, start doing short recordings and trying to create something without putting the pressure of posting it. You don't have to post it, just start
mm,
practicing. But it's definitely something that's going to stick around for the foreseeable future. Like, things are not going to change, and graphics are going to come back. You definitely have to start to mix in different types of content, and just keeping an eye on your insights and on your analytics, and seeing what your audience are responding best to, because maybe people won't like your videos. Maybe there is something else that your audience will respond best to. But if you don't know, then you don't. If you don't try, then you won't know. So it's definitely important to do it all, seeing, experiment, and seeing where the demand is for, like, what content will be, the thing that your audience will love the most.
yeah, 100%. And I think, like you said, we're bringing coming back to, I guess, to your own confidence as well. Like, what's good is that if you are very passionate about building this baby that you want to build, I'm like, and you're not very comfortable at talking to camera, it forces you to get uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, for you to grow, I'm like, you got to start talking to the camera. You got to start talking to people, and just, I think, just showing your personality across. Because I noticed that from the podcast and things like that. Like, the reason we do a YouTube version, and obviously just like a audio version, is that more people watch the YouTube now. So people would rather sit down and watch a podcast than actually listen to it and things like that, which is
That's
bizarre.
interesting. Yeah.
But I prefer to do that as well. I'm like, if there's a podcast on, like, and they're in a studio and the cameras bounce around, you get to see their hand movements, you get to see their smile and things
Yeah.
like that. And it is very interesting that you'd rather just sit for an hour and listen to a podcast and to watch a podcast and listen to it now.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to kind of see how, and especially now with like, it's almost like being like, how often do you watch Netflix? But like, I probably watch YouTube like in the evenings now and things like that. Like how YouTube's almost becoming an equivalent to Netflix, and you've got people doing series and things like that. So YouTube's almost becoming like a Netflix, but without the subscription.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Good for you, the fact that you started this, because having this, different content stream for your audience, it's so important. You've got so much variety in the content that you produce on social media, but then to have this, it's amazing because it enables your audience to build that, like a slightly different connection through audio, and I think it's great.
No, thank you. I think so. I guess for you, kind of like, oh, it's all about you, this podcast, so it's fine. What's kind of, I guess, what's the mission at the moment with you, your brand, and things like that? Like, where do you see? I hate saying the 5 years because that's stupid, but like, how's the future for kind of your business, everything like that looking? What are you working on? What do you want to scale? Things like that. Because obviously, I know you do website stuff. Kind of what like if I can right, Marsha, we're gonna work tomorrow. We're gonna start working tomorrow. What do you do and things like that? And I guess what area do you find you enjoy the most, and that's where you want to go down?
Yeah. So currently I'm producing more I'm working on more variations of my website templates. I have a set that I'm really happy with, but I'm sort of extending the designs of them. So that is one thing that I'm working on. Daily I market that side of my digital business. I'm also learning more video day to day. I'm always learning about reels and trying things myself, and that's purely because I'm going to be adding either a new sort of video chapter into my fitness content creator course,
Okay,
or
cool.
I maybe actually packaging something into like a new course, into
Oh,
more like
nice.
a video course.
Yeah,
But
cool.
it's taking a little bit of time because video is not like my background. So I didn't want to just create something quickly and just like put it out there because now is the time to do video. Let me quickly create something. I'm definitely taking my time and trying to create something that doesn't exist anywhere else and making it very specific to fitness professionals, because that is, the niche that I work with. And I think it's definitely important for me to sort of get it right before I launch it. So those are the sort of two things that I'm working on, and I'm going to make sure that they are perfect. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which is so annoying.
It's good, but it's almost like counterproductive at the same time.
Yeah. So they have to be right before I launch them, but they are, the two things that I'm working on at the moment. But apart from that, marketing and, doing my graphics, doing my reels daily is definitely, time consuming in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but it's exciting. I wouldn't change it for the world. I love sort of my working day right now.
Amazing. And I guess this is like this is more me being intrigued because I've like obviously loads of people give you that their opinions and things like that. And people are like, oh, websites are kind of like, are they a thing anymore? Because now you can have click funnels and they're a bit more effective and you can make more landing pages and stuff like that. But I'm definitely like, I'm a website fan because I always think like if you Google something, like you
Mhm.
look at the reviews, you look at the location and things like that, like having a Google kind of and a website based on that is it's a really strong authority.
Yep.
What's your because obviously that's what you're doing a lot of.
Mhm.
And I guess you kind of hear people's opinions about websites now and things like that. Like, oh, you don't need a website, you just need a very good, almost like Instagram, and you need good funnel systems and things like that. What's
Mhm.
kind of your, I guess, what's your pros to having a strong website sort of thing, and vice versa to, I guess, pros and cons to not. Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
there's more pros than there is cons. But I guess what's the pro of having a website compared to a funnel or like a landing page or something like that?
Yeah. Well, you can still have landing pages with your website. The good thing with my website templates is that a lot of them already come with landing pages that you can duplicate over and over again. So it
Oh,
works in
okay.
exactly the same way as it does with ClickFunnels. The difference is that everything looks a lot more well designed. With
Yeah.
ClickFunnels, you almost have like a certain look, and
Like a generic look kind of thing.
very generic look,
Yeah.
and it's definitely harder to style your landing page to make it like very sort of on brand. But the difference with my product, for example, is the fact that there is complete flexibility with design. It's really user friendly, and it's so super easy to create new pages and make your almost make your website look similar to what your Instagram content looks like. So it's a lot more designed, and it's definitely really useful to have a website, because a lot of people forget that not all of their clients are on social media. Many people will go over to Google and look up look you up, you and your brand, or they will type search criteria that is relevant to your business. And if you don't have a website, your Instagram page won't necessarily come up. There'll be other fitness websites that will be coming up, and people who don't have websites are definitely missing out. I don't think it's right to just rely on social media to
No,
grow
not
your
at all.
brand, because social media changes so fast.
Social media can just get rid of you.
Well, that is that, but also in this day and age, people's attention spans are so low. You can't just
Yeah.
create a post and expect people to just come over to your page and start exploring. Obviously not, unless your content is like shit hot.
Yeah.
People get distracted on social media. There are so many different things that are coming your way when you are scrolling on the Instagram feed. So it's incredibly hard to sort of capture that attention. Whereas if you are if your audience have landed on your website or your landing page, their attention is definitely more captured, and
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
designed effectively. They will scroll down to the bottom and hit your call to action or fill in that form. So you people need to realize that it definitely takes more than social media to grow your brand and get your audience
Oh,
into
gotcha.
on your email list or into your funnel, or to get to inquire with you. So it's a must.
Yeah, no, I fully agree because like I still have my website running from when I was PTing like in London.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because like I guess the only like I keep it in place and everything, I keep it updated and stuff like that because it ranks really high. So like
Mm-hmm.
if someone goes personal trainer London, I think I come up in like the top 3 still. So I'm like,
Amazing.
so
That's
yeah,
so
so it's like, all right, tweak the wording a little bit. So it's like not just London, it's like online and London sort of thing and stuff like that. But it does though, I think it brings in like when someone goes onto a website, they spend time on a website. That's why like the ads get you. Oh, you were just looking at these leggings. I was like, fuckers got me, sort of
yeah.
thing. So it's like people spend a lot more time, and I guess people sit and read it a lot more. Besides to like we know it's like reels, it's just you just do this whilst you're like sat in the bath, and like how many do you actually look at, then go onto their profile and actually absorb it? Because I've noticed that with reels, like I've had it. I think maybe because if you keep posting lots of reels consistently, like you get a lot more reach on them. So I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed that, but I'm like, oh, like I've had 10,000, 12,000 people like it or view it. But then if you go onto your insights, like the what matches up to your page views is like nothing. So people just watch it, go on to the next one.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess, like you're saying with reels and things like that now, it's like, right, how do you catch the attention and be like, and then put a call to action, whatever it is, to draw them into your profile?
Yeah.
Or is it a little thing like go to my profile, click the link and watch the video there, or something along those lines? So it's very interesting, I guess, just to see. It's like you say as well, it's two demographics as well, isn't it? It's like some people aren't going to have social media, but they do have access to the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of time we all Google people as well, right? So it's like, oh, let me just see if they're legit. Like their Instagram looks cool, but let's see if they're real, sort of thing.
Yeah. It's so important to sort of build that credibility across all platforms, and include your testimonials on and reviews on your Google profile. Google My Business, definitely important to have that. Have social proof on your page, on your stories. You almost like need to do it all, but instead of overwhelming yourself and trying to do it all at once, just try and do it,
Bit by bit.
little bit every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so important. But one thing that I just absolutely love, and I'm so grateful that Instagram has done this, is that now you're able to have the link on your Instagram stories, and
Oh, that's so good.
I
Yeah.
need to have the 10K following to do that, because now it's so easy to get people on your email list or on your website, because you can obviously include the link on your website to your website on your Instagram stories. So you almost don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
Get your audience from your website to your social media and vice versa. And keep them on your platform, on one of those platforms. And
Yeah.
that's it.
I almost feel bad because like all of us were like, right, 10K, 10K. Then we get the link. And then as soon as they release it before, you're like, oh man, I felt sorry for people that are actually at 10K. Like if you're under it, you're like, it's fine, this is great. But
I
anyone
know.
that's above it, you're like, oh, you worked really hard for nothing. Sort of thing.
I know. That literally happened around the same time, around the time when I hit
Oh,
10K.
did it? Oh no.
I thought I made it. That's it. I felt like I had 100K
Yeah.
because
That's
I had,
amazing.
I thought I was like the chosen one with the link, and that was literally, I think it was literally the day when
Oh,
the link was, I
no
think
way. That's incredible.
for everyone, and I was like, what is this?
That's
What is this?
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. And then I guess kind of dabbling into it's good. I think that answered a lot of questions for I guess anyone fitness related as well. Kind of, I guess kind of to round that bit up is almost just it's almost just be everywhere, right? But start slow, start steady and build it up. But obviously
yeah,
we want to make sure that we have different forms of content like images, reels, videos. We want to be going to potentially if you want to like honestly like people are like, oh, how do you start a podcast? I'm like, it's super easy. You just click record on Zoom and you just make sure you get good audio. That's literally it. And
yeah,
then you just get, if you again probably get yourself just, hey, can you design me a little logo? There you
yeah,
go, done and dusted. So podcast is super easy. And then obviously this is going to be two forms of content. So it just goes on YouTube and then it'll go on like Apple, Spotify, whatever it is. And it's just, you just click upload and you're good to go. So I guess, like you say, it's just being on lots of platforms consistently, being relentless, giving value. And I think the biggest one, like I'll always throw it in there, is just time. It is just time. Like I could look at people that are 27, killing it, doing really well, triple the following, triple the income, triple the results, and things like that. But there's always going to be those people. And it's like you said, all you need is one post, one reel, one amazing transformation, whatever it is, for your career to completely change.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's all it takes. Is there anything else that you kind of want to round up with, like, I guess, like your input on kind of content creation, things like that?
In terms of content creation, I definitely think it's for me, what works is I try and figure out what I enjoy doing and doing
Yeah.
more of that. So sometimes it can be a bit of a learning process. Don't do anything that you really hate doing. If you definitely like hate being on video, just like obviously just give it a try. Don't give up too early because it's going to work in your favor 100%. But it will help when you talk about what you know and
Mm.
think about helping maybe that one person that you have maybe connected with recently and speaking directly to them. That will help. I always try and have someone in mind that I try and almost speak to when I'm speaking, and I like to imagine them taking value from this and kind of improving one area of their business or their life or whatever. So it's definitely worth thinking that or like remembering that by you not helping your audience, you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
So imagine speaking to one person as opposed to like a fake sort of avatar. Speak to one person when you are speaking to the camera, when you are creating content. Have a past client or your existing client, and don't that will basically help you to stop thinking about content creation as a chore.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah. So true.
I think that's really, really important. So I've recently, for example, attended the IFS International Fitness Summit, where
Oh,
I've
is that
met
in Lisbon?
in Lisbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met some really, really great people who I've connected with. And that's sort of given me like a new sort of like fire in my belly, and a new like, you know, new way of thinking about content, because now I'm like, because we obviously talked about their business and things that they're currently going through, and some of the struggles that they are, they've encountered recently. So that's given me so many ideas for my content creation. So one important thing is to remember to never stop speaking to your audience,
Yeah.
whether it's in DMs, on the phone, through WhatsApp, doing polls, doing questions on your Instagram, because that will fuel your content creation.
Yeah, 100%. And like you say, just networking, just talking to people. Like, and
Yeah,
also just knowing that sometimes it's like, it's not just you. Lots of people are struggling, or lots
yeah,
of people have the same thoughts and things like that. So actually just brainstorming with people is always just a great tool to do. So it's absolutely
yeah,
spot on.
yeah. And that will always give you so many ideas. So
Oh God,
definitely.
it's ridiculous. Absolutely nuts. And I guess what's the plans for you this year? Anything? What is, I guess, where are we now? September. Shit, September now, pretty much. 31st. What's the plans for the rest of the year? Things like that. What have you got on?
So we are going to Dubai very soon, because Mark is holding an event there. He's
Oh
holding a
yeah,
big
that's
event
so good.
for his coaching concierge.
Yeah,
And so that's
good.
going to be
It's good.
exciting.
I got tickets to that, so it's fine. I'll see you then.
And I may or may not be doing a little talk on day 2, but
Oh, cool.
it
Is
hasn't
it
been confirmed, but that is the plan.
awesome?
So that's something that I'm getting myself ready for. And then after that, we're actually coming back at the end of October for Dubai Active. I
Oh
think
yeah,
is something that's happening at the end of October.
yeah. So I know because obviously I'm doing the Dubai show, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if the thing is it's really weird because they have Dubai Active something, which is like I think it's like the expo thing,
Yes.
but I
Yeah.
don't know if they actually have because I went to it last year, but I
Hmm.
think that's when they had the competition on as well. But I
Hmm.
now that IFBB's here, I don't know if they're combining it, if it's the same weekend or not. I
Uh,
don't know. So
I,
because that I think it's the 22nd, the show. So it's
I
that weekend. So I don't know if it's that weekend or if it's the weekend after. Yeah, it's really confusing the crossover they've had. I don't know.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, Mark has been asked to speak, so he will be speaking there. If they combined it, then amazing. That means that we will get to see it all.
Yeah,
Get to see you as well.
yeah,
Uh, so that will be really exciting. And
that'd be good. Yeah,
yeah, apart from that, I'm just going to be working on my new course, and yeah, working to add more value to my audience. But yeah, video is definitely the way to go. So I want to delve into that,
yeah,
because it also takes me outside of my comfort zone. I've never been that person that's been very comfortable on video, but the more I do, the more I enjoy it, the more confident I feel.
yeah.
So
Do you have a rough idea when you want to release it, or you're in no rush to kind of get it out there and things like that?
before the end of the year, for sure. Before
Okay,
the end,
cool, awesome, perfect,
yeah,
easy.
that's going to be my new project.
Amazing. And I don't want to take too much of your time because we've almost done an hour, which is pretty good going. So it's good. But a nice little tradition on the podcast is a little question.
Hmm.
So I always ask the guests at the end if you could give any piece of advice to anyone that's going to take them 1% further forward tomorrow, what would that be?
What would that be? One piece of advice. I think it's developing a mentality to approach each day like this. Do the worst first. So when you wake up, plan to do the
Yeah.
one thing that scares you the most, but you know that will take you further in your day, in your week. And everyone will know what that is. Everyone will have that one thing that they probably haven't done yesterday, or they haven't done last week, or they haven't done, or they've
Yeah.
been putting off for a year.
Yeah.
But if you remember this, do the worst first. And whether you complete it or do a little bit, work on it for like 5 minutes or an hour, if you do that and get that out of your day, you will feel so good. And if you do
Yeah,
this first every day for the rest of your life, you just know that you will progress in, anything.
that's amazing. I love that one. See,
Yeah,
everyone comes out with very different ones, but that one's good. I like that.
yeah. Do the
That's
worst
awesome.
first. It rhymes as well, so you
Yeah,
have
that's
to.
it. It'll stick to your head now, so it's super easy.
Yeah.
And where can anyone find you, stalk you, ask for help? Where's the best place to kind of contact you?
Yeah, the best place is on Instagram. So my profile name is Marsha, Marsha underscore Coles, Coles. And I absolutely love connecting with new people and helping people for free. So come and say hi, come and look at my profile. I always love giving out free advice on my page. So make sure you hit me up and look at some of my things, look at my contents, save some of it. I'm sure it'll be so useful. I encourage people to, recreate the stuff that I do. So come on my page for inspiration and you won't regret it.
No, and you definitely won't. Honestly, anyone that listens to this, you definitely won't. I still to this day, I'm like, I'm gonna do that, do this, and
Yeah.
honestly, Marsha is one step ahead of everything. Her content's amazing, and yeah, I'll truly speak up to that because it's been an amazing 4 or 5, whatever years it's been of following your content, buying into your journey, which has been absolutely amazing. So all her links I'll put in the YouTube descriptions, I'll put it in everything like that, guys. But honestly, thank you so much for jumping on. It's been amazing.
It's been my pleasure, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.